Hey, what's up everybody? Josh from Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique. Today we're taking a look at the all-new MasterMagic plugin by Rob Papen. Rob Papen is a legend in the VSTI game. I'm sure you've heard his name before, so anything new from Rob Papen gets me excited, and this is no exception to that rule. A very simple plugin, but adds those finishing touches to your master that, sometimes you just need that extra little boost to, push it over the edge into greatness. And having this MasterMagic plugin at the tail end of your mastering chain is going to help you get there. So very simple, as I said before, but that's what I like about it. Sometimes you get bogged down with too many parameters. This one just gives you a few options and it delivers sweetness each and every time. So we got essentially two different modules inside of here. We've got some other stuff up here, and I'll get into this recall save current in a second. But what we have is an air module and a mono stereo split filter. So let's talk about the air module. The air module essentially just adds that breathiness and spatial element and kind of clarity to the higher frequencies. So it's a high shell filter with a very wide bandwidth. And the center of the filter can be controlled right here, but because it's so wide, the manual suggests just leaving it on 40 if you're going to be using it in a mastering situation. If you're going to be using it to add some clarity and space to a vocal, for example, you might want to bring it down to, somewhere below, somewhere closer to 30. But for mastering, in our case, in this particular instance, I'm going to leave it on 40. The amount is how much of the effect is actually applied to the signal. And the air logo over here is actually how you turn the effect on or off. So let's go ahead and bypass it just to see if we can't hear what's going on. So it's a very subtle effect, but it's just perfect because it's adding that little bit of boost to the top end and a little bit of sheen. I'd call it sheen is a good word, I think, to describe it. Especially on that ride cymbal in the background, it really pops out after you turn it on and boost the amount. So the amount slider, obviously very straightforward. We can add, up to 6 dB of air to the signal. I like to bring it pretty high, but sometimes you don't need it that much. On this particular track I'm working with right here is kind of old school and vintage, so there's not a lot of high frequency content to begin with. So that's why I have it on a higher amount over there. But if you've got like a more modern dance tune or something where there's already a lot of high frequency content, you might be able to roll back on the amount to just 1 or 2 dB and still get the desired effect. So the mono stereo split filter down here, again, if you just click the logo, it turns it on and turns it off. This is really sweet because it's just a quick way to tighten up your low end. So usually lower frequencies should be mono, but sometimes some bleed gets in there from, your keys or the mid bass if you have it in your track. It just kind of floats down there and kind of muddies up the signal. And having stereo content is never a good situation for your speakers and stuff. This just makes it super easy to clean it up. What we have is a split range, which we can choose, below 150 and above, below 250, below 500, or the full range. And all this does is just makes it quicker and easier to select over here with the frequency knob. So below 150, you can see here, it goes up to 150 and then below. So something around like 80, but I can get to 80 with the 250. I just have to bring it down a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, come up here, boom. Let's go ahead and listen. You'll see that the solo will allow you to hear everything below or in the lower band. So there's just the bass and that kick drum, and that's pretty much what I'm looking for. I want all that to be mono, and you can actually see on the output here that that is in fact mono. So if I go ahead and disengage the solo, we'll be able to hear the mix of the two bands, but everything below 87 Hertz is now in mono to really help clean up the audio. Another couple of cool things, you can choose how the left and the right signals are summed to mono. You can go left plus right, or the difference between the two. So left plus right is probably the most common way to do it, but you do have the options to change the mode down there. And another really cool thing too is while you're trying to come in on your frequency, you can actually switch to see the note. So if maybe I want to, come in just everything below a D2, I can find it that way as opposed to just using the frequency position. And there's really nothing else to touch on besides, you know, you got your presets inside of here, typical Rob Papen style. And there's also the ability to have 2 different instantiations of the plugin at the same time, so you can A/B them real fast. So let's say I like this one. I can just say save that to B because I'm on B right now. And then I can make some changes, maybe turn up the amount, turn down the frequency, maybe boost up down here, and let's do the difference between the two. And now I can save to A, and now I can bounce back and forth between those 2 settings so I can get a better understanding of which one works the best for each particular track, which is always helpful to have. And of course, there's a bypass button. So very straightforward plugin, and it works wonders on all different types of tracks. It's the best place for this, I would say, is the very tail end of your mastering chain, just before your limiter, and just dropping it on there each and every time, turning on that error, boosting it up. If you need a little bit of help taming in your lower frequencies, go ahead and put on this mono stereo split filter, you know, somewhere around 80 to 100 hertz, and boom, you're good to go. You've taken a big step to making your master much better. Anyway, I'm Joshua Casper here for Plugin Boutique. I hope you learned something. We'll see you in the next video.